Aloha, friends and family, and welcome back to the channel. I put in this little pond here since we last met. Got some fish in there. I don't know if you can see them. Got a couple goldfish, a couple koi, and a few minnows. And I had to get those in there pretty quick because shortly after there was water in this thing, there was about 500 tadpoles and about 500 mosquito larvae. So I said, uh-oh, we're about to experience the plague. So we had to do something about that. So we started out with 2 goldfish and some minnows, and we just added a couple of koi a couple days ago. So I haven't seen any tadpoles or mosquitoes since. So they really cleaned it up good. Seem to be doing real well. And the way it works is all the water in my front yard, which is, you can sort of see there, everything slopes back this way. So all the water, when it rains hard, comes down my driveway, and I've got a pipe that it goes into, and then it'll all come out into the pond here. And then I've got over here to the left that you probably can't see. Well, yeah, you can see it actually. That white pipe right there. And that's the overflow pipe. So when she gets to a certain level, she'll spill out into that pipe, and then on down the hill it goes. So pretty cool. I'm not done. The dock in front of you obviously is not finished. So I got to finish that, and I want to get some kind of water feature going. Solar powered preferably, because I really don't want to mess with getting electricity over here, because it'd be a real pain in the butt to do it. So I'm just going to go with something solar. And anyway, that's the pond. We're loving it. It's really nice. But let's talk about the secret that all men die without. And let's begin by asking the question, when Adam and Eve were in the garden. This is all metaphor, but if you need to see it as being a historical fact, then go right ahead, it doesn't matter. But when Adam and Eve were in the garden, what knowledge did they have? What was the one knowledge they had? If we could say they had one knowledge, one knowing. It was good. They knew good. Or you could say God, because good and God are synonymous. Good means God and God means good. Okay, so they had, that's the knowledge they had. That's the only knowledge they had. Goodness or godness. So when the serpent came along to tempt them, what was the temptation? The temptation was to eat of the tree, the fruit of the tree, of the knowledge of good and evil. The knowledge of good and evil. So now we're introducing to the mind a new idea. An idea that there is 2 powers at work in the universe. 2 opposing powers at work in the universe. Which is factually untrue. So when they ate the fruit, and you ate the fruit, and I ate the fruit, and all of mankind ate the fruit, they entered into this idea that there's two powers at work in the universe, not the one creator or the one God or the one good. All right, the minute we all did this, we fell out of unity consciousness and into duality consciousness. That's the picture of falling from heaven or the crown chakra or the head down through your own body into the lower chakras, which is the lower world, which is duality. Now, humans, unbeknownst to them later on down the line, were able to co-create things in the external realm which appear to be evil and bad and having to do with this imaginary force that we came to believe in after eating the fruit. We imagined, they in their vain imaginings imagined this other force to be a reality. And let us say in the lower world it is a reality, but only because it became a reality. And see, what becomes to all of us comes through us. So it's becoming through us. So we are the creators of the discord, of the disharmony, of the sickness and disease, of any and all the contrary things that we don't find in unity consciousness. See, if you get back to unity consciousness, you're not going to be finding a whole lot of sickness and disease. You're not going to find no demons. You're not going to find no devils. You're not going to find any of the stuff that you find in duality consciousness. And the main thing being that you're not going to find is death. Because that is the wages of sin is death. So to simplify this then, it is a sin to be in duality consciousness. And you will die there. And that's why we see men and women all the time, every day, dying, because they're living in duality consciousness. They're living in a state of perpetual sin because they got tempted into believing in the knowledge of good and evil. There is only good. There is only God until you lower your state of consciousness to duality, where now humans create all kinds of things contrary to the law. See, the law is one. God is one. We are one. Start dividing that up, start splitting that up, you fall in consciousness into duality. You are now subject to death and the cycle, reincarnation cycle. So there's really only one way to break out of the reincarnation cycle. And let's just quickly say about the reincarnation cycle. You don't remember anything when you're in duality. You don't remember anything when you're in your reincarnation cycle. You don't remember your past life. You don't remember the life you had just before this one here. You have no memory of it. And there's a reason for that. Because you have not created an eternal identity yet. How do you do that? By activating your soul. So the eternal spirit that's within us is the eternal part of us, right? Then we come into incarnation, and then we have a choice. Are you going to live in unity consciousness or duality consciousness? As long as you stay in duality consciousness, your soul will not become activated. You will not have an eternal identity in which to remember with. See, if we were already, or if we were living souls, activated living souls, and we were still in a reincarnation cycle, you would remember your past lives. You would remember the past. But because you're in duality consciousness and you die and you reincarnate, you don't remember nothing. Because it's just your spirit that is the eternal part of you. That's what's reincarnating, right? Your avatar's not reincarnating. Your intellect is not reincarnating. The name that you call yourself right now is not reincarnating. A spirit that is within you that you're not very familiar with yet is what's reincarnating. And it doesn't really have an identity yet, because that identity becomes the soul. Once the soul's activated, now you can remember. And guess what else? Now you don't have to die. Now you don't have to drop body. And see, from that point forward, you would want to remember everything. Whereas when you were living life after life after life after life in duality consciousness, and you were living in sin, and you were co-creating drama and trauma and pain and suffering, and you did all the things that we do in duality consciousness, you wouldn't really want to remember that anyway, because there's not much there worth remembering. Until you get back to unity consciousness, there's not much worth to life, even. And the proof of that, or the evidence of that, is that you're gonna die. You're headed for death. Okay, so if you want to move into immortality, you want to move into being able to remember everything that concerns what we're calling our past, which really doesn't matter anyway, because there's really only this eternal present moment. And that's where the power is released to us. And this power is only released to us if we're in unity consciousness. If you're in duality consciousness, you don't have access to this power. You don't have access to the law of regeneration. And maybe we'll make a video here in the future about that. Regeneration. What does that mean? How does that work? And wow, man, wow, it's mind-blowing what that means. What to move into regeneration, what that actually means is mind-blowing. And the power, again, this power that I'm talking about, that becomes fully available to us when we move out of duality consciousness and into unity consciousness. So we have to tweak what we were taught, especially if you're a Christian. Because in the Christian version of this, and I'm not saying the Bible's right about so many things, but it's a metaphysical book that people in duality consciousness do not understand. You cannot grasp the weight of what Jesus said when you're in duality consciousness. Unless you can say that I am, you will die in your sin. One of the things Jesus said. And see, the Christians have all been made to think, again, because they're in duality consciousness, that this is an external realization. And the external realization must be the object that's in physicality, which is Jesus the man, right? But the Christ within Jesus, the man, is the same Christ that's in me, the same Christ that's in you. We are all becoming the Christ. So unless you can say, I am, you will die in your sin. Why? Because you're in duality consciousness. The wages of sin is death. So it's not about what's a sin or what's not a sin as far as my doings. That really doesn't matter a whole lot. What matters is, where is your state of consciousness? And if it's in duality, or it's in the lower world, or you are stuck in your lower chakras, you are existing in a state of sin. And there's no quick fix to that, like, well, Jesus died on the cross and therefore I believe that, and so now it's okay. No, it's not okay. You will never be okay in duality consciousness. You will never be what you think of as saved while you're in duality consciousness. You have to ascend back to heaven, which is unity consciousness, the crown chakra, the top of the head. So this is the great, great, great secret that's lacking in this world, and the very reason why men continue to die and will continue to die, to cycle in this cycle of deaths and rebirths, until they discover this amazingly simple secret that is hidden in plain sight. You and the Father are one. I and the Father are one. Let's go a little bit into this I am thing. All right? I am is an emphatic statement, right? I am. So it's emphatic, and it's right now. So you have to be in the present moment to state this. And you really have to be out of duality consciousness to state this. Otherwise, you're stating this in ignorance of the law, which is what backs this up. But remember, I think we had a video where we mentioned that anything whole or complete is in and of itself a trinity, or has three distinct parts that make it whole, that make it complete. So if we were to say, I am, and then add anything after that, any word, any predicate after that, it would be incorrect, in the sense that you would have to add every single word that exists after that. So it would have to be all inclusive, right? But here's what we can say. And this is what Jesus said. This is what the great teacher said. I am truth. I am life. I am way. Okay, there's our Trinity. There's our three part of the whole. I am the truth. So this truth must abide in you. If this truth abides in you, you are now the life. Life is eternal. So you are entering into eternal life now. And lastly, I am the way. So if you have the truth, you have entered into eternity, the eternal, which is life. Eternal life. I am truth, I am life. This is the way. This is the way. The way what? The way forward. The way that love shall manifest. See, we've all heard the saying, love will find a way, right? Okay, God or good, the principle driving God and good is love. So this love will find a way even through duality consciousness. As powerful as it is, seemingly anyway, because everybody's stuck in it. Everybody's almost even right up to date right now, still doing it, still believing that there's that devil out there, still believing that there's this contrary force out there, still believing that somehow this universe is held perfectly together, and I mean perfectly together, while somehow there's these two opposing forces fighting each other. But yet everything's held in perfection, down to the nth degree. So we must wake up. Wake up. There is only one creator. There is only love driving creation forward. And you can enter into its fullness right here, right now. But you must forsake duality consciousness to do it. You must enter back into that heavenly state of unity consciousness. God is one. We are one. The whole thing is one creator and creation. There is no opposition to first cause until you fall into duality consciousness and you end up in this external illusion that we see all around us, that then becomes a matrix, and the whole thing becomes a giant prison where it seems impossible for men to escape. And you've done it so many times already, this should start ringing true to you at some point. The skeptics, the people that still are like, nah, brah, brah, and do all that. This will ring true to you at some point. At some point, you will get tired of death. You will get tired of sickness. You will get tired of suffering. You will get tired of being in an old, worn-out body that has no part in regeneration. That's the phase we're coming to now. That's why I'm going to make a video in the future here about it, because we're just now entering into this phase. And I say we, meaning those that are entering back into unity consciousness, those that are back in heaven, those that are manifesting heaven on earth. And they're not still fooling around with the stupid dramas and the low-level petty crap that has everything to do with duality consciousness. And yes, you are creating it. And until you become brave enough to admit that, awake enough to see that, then you're just still in opinion land. Opinion land, belief land. Jesus said, according to your faith, be it unto you. According to your faith, be it unto you. So, however powerful you can get your faith, be it unto you. So say to the mountain, be removed, it shall be removed. If you have that faith, be it unto you then. So there's no limitations then. There's no limitations on faith. There's no limitations on what you can do right here, right now, in this life and in this realm. Not later when you die and you go to some imaginary heaven or imaginary hell for that matter. It's all right here, right now, in the present moment. Choose this day whom you shall serve. You're going to serve duality, or you're going to serve unity? It's really very easy, but it's a difficult transition. Easy to conceptualize, difficult to become. See, it's not about learning everything. Now I have a bunch of knowledge in my brain, so I am learned, and so now, no. You have to become this stuff. You don't just learn this stuff. This is not just intellectual stuff. This is not just brain stuff. This is becoming. You have to become. See, unless thou be born again, you shall but no wise enter the kingdom of heaven. So that ain't just an imaginary thing in your brain there. You have to literally die to your old self. Who's the old self? The one in duality. And you have to be reborn, born again as the new man. Who's the new man? The new man is the one now residing in unity consciousness. I and the Father are one. I am. Emphatic statement, present moment, right here, right now. That's where we're at, my friends. It's a beautiful, wonderful, very empowering place to be. And it's been right here the whole time. We could have made this move at any time. Just like with the Adam and Eve story, they made the move to eat that fruit and fall into duality consciousness. Simple. It was just a simple idea that they entertained, and they fell. Okay, this is the opposite simple idea that takes you back out of that world of hell, that world of separation, that world of duality, that world of fighting. And we leave you with that until next time, my beautiful friends and family.